What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Pat Cave. Here with another update about my Lost Boys Marko Jacket. Go ahead and stick around and we're going to dive into that right after this. What's up, guys? Here we are again, back in the cave, and I've got some more footage for you. This week we're going to be doing the collar for the jacket. We're going to do the peacock tapestry. You saw I had done a piece of it in the last one that kind of hangs on the back of the jacket. We're going to sew on the front piece here, on the bottom left, and also going to be doing the bull on the right side of the shoulder. So the bull on the right side of the shoulder, the collar piece. We got the peacock sewn on, and then also the cuff of the jacket has part of the matador tapestry down here. And for anyone wondering, I'm going to be doing all the patches at the very end, probably before the big reveal, and I'll do that. Yeah, probably is my last video once I'm finishing this up, but I'll go ahead and show you guys what I shot. Okay, so right now we're attempting to use the sewing machine to do the collar, and it's always a little tricky. You know, I've never used a sewing machine before or sewn anything before this project, so if I can do it, you can do it. I've had hits and misses with this so far, but I think this should be pretty straightforward. You know, trying to sew some of these other areas like that is a little bit harder just because it's, you know, in a weird spot, but as soon as, you know, you're along an edge here, it's quite a bit easier, and I'm hoping that it goes smooth, so let's find out. First mistake, it's backwards. You gotta start on the other end of the collar because it pulls it that way. And how many mistakes I've made from that, we shall not speak of it. Another plot twist, I actually, in fact, had it the right way, and I was about to do it backwards. So there you go. Please. Oh, moment of truth. Oh, raise the needle first, that would help. No! Sorry, I can't see if what I'm looking at on the, and oh my God, it worked. So there we go, all sewn along the top. We've got this blue section here from the sky, from the tapestry, and then I cut this off exactly where the pictures showed. So this blue part matches where the hair connects when it's folded over. This is exactly the amount of space that's left on the end of the collar. And then also this little pattern here is in the center. Well, basically the center. It's a little off-centered, but that's how I kind of came up with where to put it. And then there's the other side. Yeah, looks like it turned out. All right, so quick update. I finished doing the collar. I did a combination of machine and by hand. By machine just because I could, and I'm trying to learn a little bit too while I'm doing this. So I did the stitch along this black line here, and I'm getting better at keeping it even too, so that was kind of nice. And then I did a few stitches by hand just for added strength, one here, and I think one over here. And here's how it looks so far. And like I said, I cut these corners to match the pictures that I have, so that this is how meticulous I'm being about making this thing, as much as I can anyways, within my control. I lined up this blue piece with this piece of hair here, so if that gives you an idea of like how accurate I'm going for, that hopefully that kind of explains it a little bit. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the collar. That's what we ended up with. And it looks pretty good. You can't really tell much from this side. There's a stitch along the top, but not bad at all. And I guess we're going to be moving on to doing the bull next. So I'll kind of show too how I try and do the arms. I don't know if it's the best way to do it. It's how I've been doing it though. So I will catch you guys soon. All right. So a half hour, 45 minutes later, still trying to get the bull on there correctly. And in the video footage I have, I noticed that this paw lines up with this bottom border, so that's what I did, and I tried to line it up best I could and as high as I could to these up here, and then the rear ones with the matador. So that's where I'm going to probably end up, and then I'm going to go ahead and trim off what I don't need, and I'll make sure to leave extra for the fraying to happen, so that's where we're at. All right, so we're kind of hanging out behind the couch because this is where the best light's at in this room, over near the back window. Gonna start sewing on the bull's arm, the bull's head. So I'm getting some thread ready, and I've got my needle, and I'm gonna just hit this in probably a few different spots and try and, So my plan is to pretty much do a couple stitches just in different places, the places that, like I'll try to go along the border quite a few times. And sewing inside of an arm is pretty tricky. You can't really use a sewing machine on it for obvious reasons. You could if there wasn't any type of pattern to worry about, but since using a machine leaves a stitch line, you can't even necessarily see the stitches, but you would see the line. You can't just, my machine has a thing where you can put it like a cuff over it and do like you could do here if you wanted to, but it only goes this direction. It can't go that way. So obviously that's not going to work for this. And I don't want to stitch, lines there. I don't know. I just don't think it would look right for his jacket. His jacket's supposed to be very like thrown together and lumpy, and it's supposed to look like he did it himself. And since I'm doing this myself, should give the right effect, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and thread the needle just like I showed you guys. You basically do the two strands on one side, needle on the other. You do a fold it over like that. I don't know if you guys can see. And then just wind it around, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Grab that with your nails and your fingertips, squeeze it, and then pull it down. And then you will have a knot at the end. I don't know if you guys can see that on camera, but there's a knot there now. And I like to trim off the excess on the string just because it gets hard to tell sometimes. And how I've found so far when I've been doing the arms, the easiest way to do it. So basically at the end of it, you need to be able to tie a knot, right? On the inside. I mean, I guess you could do it on the outside, but it'd be more obvious that there were stitches there. So what I've been doing is starting the furthest point away from where I'm going to be able to see, and then work my way that direction towards where it's going to be easier to get access to get my hands in there to tie the knot. So like in the case of the leopard here, you would start like on this black spot here and kind of work your way this direction, so that way you can see inside the cuff easier to tie off the knot. And that's the way I found most helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of stitching here so you guys can see how I do it. And I'm going to go along this line first to kind of secure this in place. This is probably going to need to be trimmed down on the side, but I'll do that afterwards because you want to always leave extra just in case. And like I said, you're going to want to start on the spot that's easiest to get your arms into also. So in this case, you want to probably go from the inside, and I've pinned it in place so it's not going anywhere. And you want to do the first one from the inside, so we're going to start, So we're going to start right about here, and we're going to push that through. Let's do a little further away from the edge because you want to leave the time to fray. So got the needle through there, and you're going to pull it, and you want to feel the back. You can't see obviously that easily, so you're going to feel there, and then you're going to want to put it back through in the same place and pull that through. And this, this part, it's not the funnest. It's kind of tedious, but eventually you're going to get to where you need to be. You're going to get the string there, and then you can move on to the fun parts. Stitching's a little more fun when you can see what you're doing. On the arms, this is probably like the hardest part, I would say, this entire project, with the exception of the shoulder matador piece. And you're going to just want to keep going along this edge here, just in and out. And then you're going to work your way towards the armhole, which is going to be where you're going to tie the knot off. And you're going to pull that through. And I'm not a professional by any means. This is just how I'm doing it and what I found to work easiest for me after some trial and error. So, got that piece up, got that thread through. And this is a thicker part of the jacket, so it's a little harder to push through. You might want to use a thimble if you want to be careful. I, so far, haven't really poked myself at all, miraculously, but, still got quite a bit left of the project to go, so. And I'll go ahead and record a little bit of this, and then I will show you guys when I'm finished how the piece is secured on there. It's definitely not the most glamorous thing in the world, I'll say that much. And I've got a pin right there, so make sure you're careful you don't prick yourself on the pins. And how long you want to do these is really up to you. I don't normally do running stitches for too long because I feel like his jacket, all of the pieces are supposed to be kind of loose and just sort of held on barely. And it kind of adds to the effect, the authenticity of it, how it looked in the movie. It wasn't this machined, like, perfect thing. It was kind of just this ratty jacket that's falling apart and it's got stuff kind of hanging off of it. You can see in the movie a lot of times when he moves, a lot of the pieces aren't really sewn down. They're just sort of there. Jeez, that piece was hard to get through. Must be a seam there. Yeah, it definitely makes it challenging trying to do this when you can't see the inside. Hopefully, that's why you want to make sure the placement is exactly right, because if it's not, you're going to have to redo it, and it's not the funnest thing in the world. This thread also is very strong, so once you've got a knot in there, it's pretty secure. It's not, I was kind of worried initially when I started sewing. I'm like, oh God, this is gonna, I'm gonna try and put it on, it's gonna fall off. This upholstery thread is like insanely strong, so you don't really have to worry about that. And also you want to handle this as much as you can, because then the tapestries will start to fray naturally and it'll give you the look that you're going for without having to do any of the work extra. It'll just kind of happen naturally as you're working on the jacket, which it's been doing, for me. But it's still, probably still need a little bit of work for that, but it's mostly been going pretty well, I would say. There. Let's take this pin out because we don't really need that anymore. Anyway, that's the idea. You just keep going. So along here, hide the black thread anywhere that you can on the edge here, right here. I like to leave the sides open so it can fray more, and I kind of stitch a little inside, a little further in. Hopefully that helps. I will go ahead and give you an update as soon as this is attached. All right, so here's where we're stopping for today. Got the collar attached. Like I said, I measured those pieces out using reference videos and screen caps. And down here, we've got the bowl added on. And this piece is a little longer than it needs to be. I need to fray it and stuff. And this needs to be trimmed also because it kind of goes back and angles this way. And then the skull patch goes about right here, which I have to darken the edge of that too. So that's going to be something like this at the end, somewhere around there, where these pieces all converge. And pretty happy with it so far. This piece is going to slowly get frayed. I need to probably put a few more stitches in to hold it up a little bit, but it's more or less where it's going to be. And this is going to get trimmed down, like I said. So this will be frayed quite a bit along with this. That's why I left it so long, but it's already kind of doing it just from me handling it. And I think next I'm going to tackle this piece here for the peacock, which is attached already, but I'm going to sew it. I need to figure out where to trim it right here, and that's probably next on the agenda, so stay tuned. So I've got the bowl attached. This is going to be trimmed a little bit more to kind of, you know, taper up a little bit. And the skull's going to go right there. And you can see this thing's framed pretty nicely already just from me sewing it on. So there's that. And then I've got, I think right now I'm going to sew on this blue piece that goes on the back, which goes back here. And it's right about there, I would say, kind of where all these pieces connect. And then I'm also going to sew this piece on to the bottom back of the cuff here on the right. So that'll be about like right there. And I think after that, I'll probably go through and secure the peacock on the side here and trim that to fit. Not exactly sure where that's supposed to end. I just have to look at the pictures though. I've got reference for it. I think these two pieces kind of connect or line up next to each other at least. And let's go ahead and get to work. All right, so I'm doing the placement now for this bottom piece, and to show everyone how detailed I'm trying to get with this, if you notice, so first of all, this seam, I tried to place it exactly and cut these tapestries exactly around where that seam was in these photos that I have. And down here, I've got this piece placed, so my reference is this photo. So if you notice in this picture, this black piece of the cape kind of has an S, and it sort of starts right where this space is here. So I've got that lined up there. So that would go like that. And then my other basis of reference was on my foot. So right here, this other black line from the cape goes up through there and kind of follows those. And this white piece, you know, is on the side of that, which is what I did here. So you've got the black piece there, and it kind of goes up there, and then you got the white next to it over here. And a lot of this is extra material that I'm going to allow to fray, and it's the same thing on this side. And also right here, there's more space normally, but that's because this is frayed a lot more, and I haven't done that yet. So, and then also, if we scroll up in this picture, let's see. You'll notice you got the blue piece there randomly, and I've got the blue piece here with a couple of the little green specks that are on there. You can see them there. I don't know why mine has a little bit different design on it, I guess. Maybe just because they were all, you know, handmade. So that's going to go right in that space there, which is right here. And this one's a lot longer. I left a lot of space for it to fray, so it'll probably be something like that, and then it'll, you know, have a kind of fray about maybe a quarter of that down to about here. So then you'll be left with that much of the seam showing. And yeah, that's how crazy I've been about this project. It's funny because this whole jacket, I'm sure the idea was that it was just thrown together and all these pieces were just haphazardly attached, but trying to replicate something like that kind of makes it a little bit more of a challenge, which is fun, I think. But I'm going to go ahead and get this piece sewn on later, I think, because I need some blue thread. This is one of the few pieces that doesn't have any type of black area for me to use the upholstery thread. I think it'll be too obvious if I use it on here, so I'm going to get some blue thread for that. And I'm going to get this piece attached, and I will be right back. All right, so it's been about an hour and a half, I think, and I've got this piece sewn on down here. I had pinned it earlier, and now it's all attached. And like I said, this line here lines up with this seam here, and this is extra material meant to fray. This is going to have a little more of a gap. So there's that. And then over here, you can see that black line there kind of starts to connect right there. And that's right here. And this also is all extra material I left to fray. This is going to fray up to about here. And I also attached this little blue square, this little random piece that's on here, which is right here. And I tried to position it with the little patch of green that's there, and then this brown along the side, and then there's a little bit of white up here. And you can see there's the brown, there is this white patch here with that green that I was talking about underneath down there. And then there is, this is going to be, this is all extra. So this whole top piece here that folds down, this is all going to be like uncovered. Like this, I just left all this so it can fray naturally as I'm working on it and I don't have to trim it myself. And then this is going to fray a little bit more and come down. And that is where we're at. And I will say, it's kind of interesting because I tried it on a minute ago, and it actually, feels more comfortable to me, and the more tapestries are on it, and it almost feels looser than when I started, which is strange. But I like, one important thing that I would do, if you're liking how my jacket's turning out, of course, but when you sew these pieces on, make sure that you don't sew them on too tight, because if it's sewn on too tight, it's going to look too thin, the arms. If you look in the movie, when he lifts his arms up, you can see that he's got quite a bit of extra baggy material hanging in. That's all the tapestries, and it's because they're not sewn on super tight. They're kind of hanging loosely. And I don't sew, I'm not going from like here along this line straight down here, or, along each edge. I'm just doing areas to attach it and make it nice and sturdy, but still leave it loose enough so that when you're moving, it's not going to feel like it's going to rip. And that goes the same for this blue square. I left excess material so that way when you bend your elbows or your arms, it's not going to tear it. And that's the same with this. When I sewed this on in this armpit area, you have to kind of stretch the coat out and then sew it on that way, because if you sew it on with it closed up and then you move, it's going to tear. So, and I've been touching this so much and handling it so much, it's starting to fray really nicely, actually. Here's the bowl. That part is starting to go. And I'm going to trim a lot of this off too. And this whole thing, like I said, I just basically sew points at which I want it to stay, and the rest of it is excess to fray. And this the same goes on this side. This is a lot of extra material. It's supposed to start, I think, right here on the movie coat. So all this is just extra, and I'll trim it later if need be. And that's where we're at. What's up, guys? All right, another update. I've been working on the peacock front panel, and I've got this sewn along this side, along this edge up here on the top. And then I've done a couple stitches here and there to keep this side, steady too. So this is starting to fray by itself. And I forgot to say this in my other video, and I thought I did, but I guess it might have deleted the video by accident. But so originally when, excuse me. Sorry, I'm sick, so if I sound congested, that's why. Originally the peacock I had was this piece here. This was the part that I'd cut out that was for that side. And what happened was, when I took it and placed it on here, as you can see, the border is not quite the same width on the top as it is on the side here. I'm not sure why. I guess some of them are just like that. And my friend in the UK had a spare, and he ended up sending me this one, and this had the correct top to it. So I ended up going with this piece, and it looks a little more aged, actually, so it ended up working out well. It's not quite as vibrant as this, but it has more of a vampire feel, I would say. And I'm not sure, but that might be something to look out for if you're a stickler for details like myself. I'm not sure if they just cut it too short and hem the top here, but for whatever reason, it just didn't look right when I had it there. It's just this piece was too thin, so I ended up getting the correct one and using that one. And also, while we're on the topic, so the Matador, this guy, I have 3 different versions of this, and I'll overlay some video for you. But the reason, aside from the original one I had, the color was kind of faded really bad, and this one's a lot more vibrant, like the jacket in the movie. And on the prop version, it has a lot more blue here, and the one I had is very washed out. my first one, and then I ended up getting a second one that had the tassels on the side, which you'll see in this video. And then there was a third one that came up right after that, and they were all pretty cheap, so I just bought all of them. And I'm going to probably resell one of them with some of my other parts just because I don't need it. Obviously, I haven't even cut it. But one thing I noticed, a friend pointed out to me, the same one that helped me with the peacock, was that this piece here, or I guess I should say he pointed out that the sky was a different color on each of the matadors. So there was one that has a white sky. There was a second one that has like a very vibrant blue sky. And then this was the one that was in between that was kind of like a bluish white. And this was my favorite, and I thought looked closest to what was used on the prop jacket. So that's what I ended up going with. That was the third tapestry that I ended up buying. It didn't have the tassels, and it just had like the black border, which ended up working out. So I used that piece, and then the front of it's right here. And the back, you know, is here. But you can see in the video, it's just the original I had was just way too washed out. I didn't like the color. I like when the colors are vibrant and they shine. And, you know, the arms here for the leopard and the leopard itself, they're all very vibrant colors. And this. Anyways, I'm going to finish putting a couple more stitches in this piece, and then I'm going to call it here. And then I guess the next video will focus more on doing the back. And I actually have a video I'm going to probably have posted by the time you see this one of a couple more things that I got in the mail to help me complete this. Unfortunately, still missing the back off patch and the Viking. If anyone has those, please shoot me a message. And day 4 is a wrap. What's up, guys? Well, I guess that concludes this week's work. I've got a few more things I need before I can really proceed at this point. A lot of the other pieces are cut out, but I can't sew them on without the back tapestry, unfortunately, and a lot of these things are layered, so I'm just gonna have to make do with what I've got. So one thing that was kind of unexpected is, like, when I got the jacket, it was almost kind of, you know, because I wear a size 40, which is the size of the movie jacket, but I'm taller than Alex is. I'm about 6 feet, 6'1", and the jacket, initially, I think when you put it on, it just feels, you know, it's kind of like a slim fit. So I think it's nice almost for, in my case, layering all the tapestries on. It doesn't feel tighter, it feels more comfortable to me. That probably doesn't make sense, but it's kind of weird to me even, but it almost feels like it's more of a jacket than before. It just felt so thin before and form-fitting. Now I feel like with all these extra layers, it's almost like armor or something like that. It feels very like rugged and durable, and I've made sure to make it last. I've put extra stitches in places where I could hide them or machine things in areas where people wouldn't notice. So hopefully it's going to be lasting for many years to come. I can wear it on Halloween or whatever, but that's all we've got for you this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. I got a lot done. I got most of the right arms pretty much finished. I got all of the sides and the front done, more or less, minus some patches. I've got to do the shoulder pieces still, but I need the back tapestry before I can do that. You know, the Cleo along with the leopard piece that goes on the back shoulders. And then I'm going to start the left arm too once I have Cleo, because we need her leg for the left arm here. So hopefully I can get that soon and then get to work on that and get another video for you guys. Like I said, I'm doing all the patches at the very end before the big reveal and all the frames. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and comment below. And don't forget to give me a like and subscribe. And I will catch you guys next time.